Hello, my name is Colin Smith. I'm pianist and teacher at Wonderland Performing Arts. Today we'll be talking about auditions, audition preparations, as well as a new tool, although not new to some of you, taking notes. These are very important and I hope you will join me. First on our list, auditions. Now, some of you might be asking yourselves, what does that mean? What is an audition? This is certainly a question on the mind of very many parents whom I have come into contact with. This is a sort of trial run. We wish to greet the students, get to know their names and faces, and their abilities. So it's very important for them to showcase all that they have to do based on what we ask of them. First on the list is, of course, the monologue. Although not every audition begins the same way, there are three parts. The monologue, the music, if you're in a musical, and the cold reading. Monologues can be taken from very many sources, but they shouldn't be longer than a minute or a minute and a half. Generally, when we schedule auditions, we do them in slots. So let's say one student comes at 4:15 and the next will be at 4:30. So there's only a very small amount of time for us to hear everything that you've performed and for us to ask you some questions. Sometimes the slots are even as short as 10 minutes. So just bear that in mind and remember to cut your monologue down according to the recommendations. Next, of course, is the music. Preparing your music is very important. You must choose something that you know for a fact you can do confidently. Preparation is key to showing respect. You've come to the audition in hopes of gaining a role that you would enjoy playing. And even if you don't get it, that you are willing to be a team player and learn something new. Perhaps a role you haven't thought about, or being in the chorus as something just as integral to the plot as the main character. A side note, my favorite part is actually being in the chorus because we have a lot more fun. We get to react what is on stage, and we support those friends of ours who have the weight of the plot and the lines. That said, preparing your music is a sign of respect. This is in two fashions. You should have it memorized. It's very useful that we can see you know how to memorize. And all of these things said before me, preparing your music. It's very important that you provide a stiff backing for your music, such as a binder or portfolio. I know Miss Allison is fond of manila folders. Those work as well. And if you are not putting it in a binder, make sure that it is taped in place so it doesn't come around. If some of your pages fall to the floor, there are some pianists who will not pick it up. They know who they are. They will only play from what is in front of them. So be sure that you are prepared. If you are playing from something only 2 or 3 pages long, it's not very hard to make sure that all of your pages are visible for the pianist. So taping them in place is useful. And then you mark with big letters, start here. Oh, I put a hole in the tablecloth. Okay. And so the pianist knows where to start. Oh, and there it is, where to stop. These are very useful because that helps me provide a foundation for you. If you say start here, but then you'd rather get a feel for how the music is supposed to sound, I can give you some extra time. It all helps when you come to me first and discuss the music we're going to sing, and then we'll get ready to perform. You don't get to sing the entire piece for me. You just get to let me know how fast it is, how far we're going to go, and if I have to turn back. Turning back is very important. Now then, some of you had questions about measures, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Measures are very important. And you can barely see in this example because the music's so darn small. There is a line here and another line there. This box is one measure. So if your music has all of these measures, let's count the boxes together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, that's 8 measures. It's a very good block right there. Usually, music is required to be a collection of 16 or 32 bars or measures. So count accordingly. Make sure that you count where you're starting. Don't count the measure afterward. Count the measure which you start. Cutting measures is difficult, which is why I am so happy to help. You will have to tell a bit of your story through the song. You're bringing to life a character as we've described in earlier videos, and you must finish the thought. If you cut off halfway through a sentence just because you got to the number 32, it doesn't quite help us understand how you portray the character. In a song, and in most modern musicals, the character learns something through the course of a song. It is used as a device to further along the plot. So your job is to create a summary of what's in the song based on your cut of 32 bars. If that means skipping something, if that means cutting off the third key change or the third chorus, then so be it. I'm happy to help with those exercises as they require a little bit more musical knowledge. Let's see, music. And prepare yourself. So you've prepared a monologue and you've prepared your music for yourself and the accompanist. You must now prepare yourself. Some things can happen and you just have to go with the flow. If you forget something, remember to just take a breath and start again. Start where you left off, or perhaps try to continue and find the next word that comes to your mind. Your ability to recover is magical in the audition process. We see that. We see perhaps the struggle, or we see you hesitate because you've lost a word, and we see you recover, which means that you know your stuff. It's very important. You should also prepare in the way that you dress. Dressing for the occasion is a mark of excitement, confidence in oneself, as well as respect for the occasion. Showing up to a dance rehearsal requires a certain amount of comfortable clothing. You might be asked to do some jumps and hops and things like that, which would not be doable in a dress, unless, of course, we're wearing, a onesie. All that said, prepare your costume, as it were, with confidence. Something that you know you feel good in, and then you can portray your character to the best of your abilities. If you're trying on a brand new outfit that was given to you, or perhaps you just came back from the mall, you may not be comfortable wearing the clothing, or how it fits, or how it feels. That can distract you. Wear something you know you're comfortable in that you can add to your character. Additions are not always encouraged. I must amend the word addition, because bringing props into an audition is not done. It's not the end of the world, but it is a distraction. Your job is to portray a story, a character, without any help from the surroundings or a tool on your person. If you happen to pull out an imaginary cell phone, that is by all means fine, but if you actually pull out your phone and start to dial, that's different and it provides a distraction. Remember to relax. The judges, the panel at the table, are here to listen to you. It's important that you understand we're here to support what you're doing, and we're looking to see if you are the right fit for this role or this role. Remember that not all places audition the same way. So prepare to the best of your ability and find confidence in that. Last but not least on the audition side is where your audition is to be held. It's important to talk to friends who go to Wonderland what's the word? To get the inside scoop. No, that's cheesy. Words elude me. It's important to speak to someone who's been there before so you know where to go. I once went to a competition where I was to play several pieces on the piano, and I went to the wrong building. So thankfully someone told me it's in the next building, and we rushed in the nick of time. In that case, the judges are ready to go by swapping people and saying, well, they're not here, let's move on to the next person. It doesn't mean that you have been eliminated. We just decided to give you a little more time to get here, and we're moving on to the next person. But you can help us by being on time. On time is early. If your appointment is at 4, come at 3:45. Make sure you have time to relax and to run over what you're going to do in the audition process, your monologue, your music, and what you will say. Oh, I forgot what you're going to say. You have to slate. Slate is a term in the theater world where you introduce yourself, just as I did at the beginning of this video. Hello, my name is Colin Smith, and I'm doing this and this and this. I always look rather comical. That said, I'm still very clear and crisp. It's important to introduce yourself with confidence so that we can see a little bit into your own character before you decide to perform someone else. This slate is important so that we can get to know you. Even if we already know you, it's a mark of a professional that comes in and immediately knows what happens next. Now then, so you know where it is, and you're heading to the audition early, which means on time. And there are other people there. Perhaps they've already gone and they're waiting for a call back. Perhaps they're waiting to go after you, which means they're early. Be prepared to be quiet. Being quiet is a very good mark of respect, although in some cases it can be seen as shyness and things like that. Nonsense. Preparing and quietly. That's words. Preparing quietly allows you to focus on what you will be doing and allow others to focus on what they'll be doing. Other actors may be very bright and excitable before an audition. It's an exciting process, and I love to see old friends as we gather for the same thing. All that said, we must respect the audition process that is going on in the next room by being quiet, and respect the others in the vicinity who might be preparing. So, shh. Now then. So, you're prepared for your audition, you have your monologue, you have your music taped in the correct binder, you're quiet, you're on time, which is early, and you're waiting to be called. The last thing on the list, of course, is the cold reading. What does that mean? Well, you've never seen it before, and that's just the point. You are given a script, although this is my collection of Greek plays, it'll do for today. When you are delivering your lines, do the best you can, even though you've never seen it before. You're usually given a couple minutes to look over your lines, and to make sure that you skip over the stuff in parentheses, because that's blocking. So, you look over your lines quietly. And whenever you're ready, we will begin. So perhaps the judge says the first line, or perhaps you say the first line. I, too, am sword-handed against you. I am not afraid of death. Death, you said... Oh, I'm sorry. That's not my line. That's someone else's line. So you see, you must prepare for anything. Turning a page is one of the most heart-rending, bone-breaking experiences ever. Because you don't know what's on the other side. It could be anything. I must harken back to a rather traumatic experience where I played page turner for a rather gifted and wonderfully famous musician known as Tamara Zona in the greater Alexandria area. She is wonderful. She's truly magnificent on the keys. And for some reason, she asked me to turn her pages. I was not aware of what was coming next. Once I turned the page, I realized we had to turn back. And I was very nervous. I did indeed find the correct page, but as I was sitting down, I hit some of the keys. And the notes sounded across the auditorium, distracting both the people on stage attempting to sing and the audience who was nearby. It was awful. So, look ahead, turn the page, and relax. Now then, next on our list of lengthy monologues from Mr. Colin Smith. Taking notes. The best and most wonderful thing you can ever do as a musician, artist, performer, or what have you, is to bring a pencil. Let me repeat myself. Bring a pencil! Very small, looks like this, sometimes it's yellow. It works. Pencils are used to take notes. Now that I'm done being pedantic, remember that you must follow along. And in order to properly understand what the director has done, make a note of it. Cross stage left. Then Miss Allison says, hold, you can't do that, you have to go to stage right. Well, then you've written it down, you can say, oh, that's not right, stage right. My scripts are generally covered in graffiti and odd little notes that are not legible to anyone else but me. But they help me prepare for the character. It's very important to take heed of what the director gives you because it helps bring your character to life in context of everything else that's going on. Even if you were in the chorus and you have but one line in the entire show, make notes. You are in the chorus and you support the group scenes, you still have blocking to understand. A pencil is very important. Now then, reading aloud your lines is an excellent way to prepare for the coming scenes. So you have a certain scene with someone else, and you haven't looked at your script. That might allow you to fumble over the words. Then he, what is that word? Then he got, see, I've allowed the rehearsal process to come to a standstill because I didn't know that word. So, read aloud your words. Then he got up on top with a tip of his hat. I call this game fun in a box, said the cat. In this box are two things I will show to you now. You will like these two things, said the cat with a bow. Even adding your own bits of blocking as you read the script, such as bowing, or perhaps following the stage outline of your emotions, can be helpful. Here comes a very precarious decision. Should you do exactly what is in the script at all times? Well, no, patently not. It's very important that you create a character that is your own. If you have a role model, such as the illustrious Kristen Chenoweth, say that 3 times fast, or the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem, you must remember that your ability to come on stage and perform takes a certain amount of creativity. Copy and paste is a computer mechanism useful in saving time. Creativity does not always allow for that mechanism. You are you. I am me. I wear these things, and you wear those things. Each time we come on the stage, we have the ability to do something new. There's a certain amount of consistency involved, but exactly what is in the script is someone's interpretation of that character. The dialogue is what we cling to most, and the stage directions come with time. If in the script it says a beat, that means a small pause. You have the ability to blink, or perhaps do a double take. You have the choice to use that moment in between two lines to add to the character, to create something new. So, bear in mind, reading aloud does not denote copying someone else's work. And let's see, what do you do when you're not on stage? It's just as important as what you do when you're on stage. So someone else is saying their lines and they're doing the blocking, or perhaps changing the blocking. You're going to follow along in the script so that you know when to come in. All right, he's here. This is a long monologue, so I'm going to look ahead. Scene 6. Oh, I don't come in until 3 pages later. So I'm going to follow along and wait until my cue. I want to make sure that I'll be ready to go on stage. So I might just jot down a note with my pencil that says, "Get ready now. Yes, you. Go." I'm rather mean. Again, I would like to end with another note about relaxing. Auditions and the rehearsal process are very important. But it does take a certain comfort level. It might even take you outside of that comfort level because you're learning something new. You're learning speech skills and speech synthesis. You're learning creativity in characters as well as in reactions. You're also learning the ability to get up on stage in front of people and have confidence to do what you've worked so hard for. Yes. But it's also a time to meet new people. Relax. Remember that there is a difference between what is on stage and what is not. We strive for clarity in our speech, confidence in what we do, and the ability to do it again once the show is over. We're always looking ahead, but it's fond to remember the characters we created in the past. Enjoy the process because there's nothing quite like it. Last on our list, just a sort of side note from directors that I've worked with, Miss Allison herself, as well as stage managers and numerous other individuals who give us notes. Take it in stride. Rehearsals can be stressful and in some cases very long. Our ability to fix the little things that go wrong or the accidents that happen means that we've learned something about ourselves and we have an opportunity to recover. So Miss Allison gives you a note and says, "I didn't like that. I'd rather you do this." That doesn't mean she doesn't like you. It doesn't mean that I don't like you. I like you very much. We all do. But this is a direction. This is not working. Here's what is working. And then you just say, "Thank you, note," and finish your tea. Speaking of which, mine's getting cold. A would like to leave you with a quote from Walt Disney. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Thank you for joining me today.